All right, I've already started milling up some material for this children's tower, and this is the original drawing I was working off of, and the dimensions that my customer gave me was 19.5 inches at the base, or maybe I got this off of eBay's, not eBay, but Amazon's website. I'm not sure where it came from now, but 19.5 at the base, 14 inches at the top. So I laid all this out in my computer software. It ends up being an 81.31 degree angle here. And that's just too complicated. So what I did was I kept this dimension the same, but I changed this to 81 degrees. And everything will be based off of the top and how it flows down, and that'll be fine, however it ends up. So I went and redrew it, and I came up with this. So now I've got 14 at the top. Still these dimensions stay the same. 10 inches here, 26 inches from the base to the top of that piece, and 7 inches from the base to the top of this cross member. Okay, and this now is 81 degrees. Much easier to cut, and it only increased the width of the piece by just shy of 1/4 of an inch. So I'm happy with that. The one thing I don't show on here is the dimensions for the holes, for the adjustable foothold or the adjustable stand. As the child gets older, you're going to lower that down. So it's 11 1/4 for the first hole, and then 2 inches up from each one of those. Now the tricky part is going to be not these, because this is all square and parallel. It's going to be these 3 holes over here that are going to have to be taken care of precisely, I guess, to make sure everything lines up. So I will take care of that when we get to that point. So the main thing I want to do now is cut this first piece to the exact length to get my 14-inch width. Then I can cut the other 3 pieces and do the same as I move on down the line here. I'm going to join this with dominoes, and these are complete pieces, solid pieces. So I'll have 4 of these. She wants me to make two towers. So it's kind of mass production, and even if you were doing one, you'd still want to take the time to make sure you get it all precise and set up. So I'm going to start here, and I've got I'm making this out of cherry. I've got these pieces already milled up, ready to go. These are 2 inches wide, and I need 2 36-inch pieces, or this one's a hair longer because it's cut at 9 degrees. And then these cross members will come out of my extra pieces that I have. All right, I got these laid out in pairs. You can see that I've got some sapwood in there, but that's the beauty of cherry to me, to kind of get that different colors. So these are laid out. I took the best 8 for the 2 sides, and then these pieces over here are going to be cut up, because they're the ones that, after I milled them up and let them sit a couple of days, they've developed some curve to them. So cutting them into shorter pieces will help remove some of that. Well, I'm glad I slowed myself down here. I was going to cut one of these pieces up into 4 12-inch pieces for the short ones, but I can get them out of these offcuts. So I'll just cut 12 inches, or not 12, I'll cut 11 off of each of these, and that'll give me plenty of short pieces to go across the top here. It's 10, let me grab my, this is the rough dimension, 10.5, 12, and 15, and these are actual long cuts, 10.292, 11.875, 14.855, so 14.885, I'll probably change that to 14.875 as well. So this is the only one that I've got to kind of pay attention to get it as close to that as I can. Alright, I got my rough cut here, squared up this end here, and a couple stops, and butt this up against there to make sure that everything is flush to this square edge. So 10.292 is what I'm shooting for, but 10 5/16 is 10.3125. So I've made a mark here at 5/16. That's my long cut. That means I'm going to angle back this way. So I will take my sterret that I've got set to 9 degrees, my angle gauge here, and lay that out. So what I'll do is leave the line here. So once I'll make this initial cut, and once I've established the length, that's when I'll cut the remaining three. All these pieces are squared up on the end facing me. So these are my long legs. These are my intermediate pieces. These are the bottom pieces, and then my short pieces are over here on the saw side of the fence. So what I'm going to do is get my miter gauge set up at 9 degrees and make my cut. And once I establish that I like the 9 degrees, then I'll work on that. Whenever I make an angled cut like this, I prefer that the angle, the cut be into the wood this way rather than going this way where it wants to pull it away from the miter gauge. This way it's pushing it into my stop, and I think that's much more controlled. So you can see here's my line going away, this being my long point. I want to leave that line. I think I'm set up pretty well there, so let's see how this goes. And I've got a couple extra pieces here to play around with too, so I'm not too concerned about screwing this one up. That looks perfect as far as the degree cut goes, based on, this is my line drawn with my sterret. This is the 9 degree up with my miter gauge, and they look beautifully parallel. So now I know that this black line here is long, and I need to sneak up on this. So I'm going to nudge this over a little bit until I get to 10.992 or 10.3. I'm not sure how I'm going to measure that. Let me see how I can do that. Let me grab my digital caliper here. if this was standing on end. 1.9, 992. Two from there. All right, my measurement is 10.292. So I've got my caliper set up to 1.292, 369, and when I take and put my caliper on here, I hope you can see this, but there's daylight in between this, the end, and my 321 block. So it's a little more than the thickness of this credit card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call that close enough if I move it over that amount right here. So I'm going to take and put that in there and put this credit card between my stop and the right angle. Press and hold that. Take that out, move that up, and I'm going to call that good. I don't know what it's going to end up being. It might be 10.999, but it's going to be close enough. So I'm going to make this cut. I'm going to cut my long pieces at the miter saw, 36 inches. I'll cut 4 of those, and then I will cut the 9-degree cut on the other piece and be able to match that up so I can figure out my layout for the remaining 3 pieces here. Okay.